Hey, it's Brian here. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Go Be More podcast. For those of you who've never heard of Go Be More Apparel, I just want to take a moment to tell you what we're about. We believe we all have a responsibility to chase our dreams, and we want to give you the motivation, the mindset, and the permission to do it. We want our apparel to be a constant reminder of your commitment to achieving your goals. We want the words Go Be More to remind you of your dreams and your next steps every time you see them. As for this podcast, every Tuesday I speak with John Rankin, world-class miler, kidney disease survivor, and founder of Go Be More, about topics that will help to unlock your potential and get you moving forward. Every Friday we interview a special guest to learn more about their Go Be More journey. In this episode, we speak with KD, Kadivis Robinson, two-time Olympian at 800 meters and the current coach at The Ohio State University. Kadivis has had a career of ups and downs, winning 4 U.S. championships and 2 Olympic teams, while also finishing the dreaded 4th place at 2 other Olympic trials, which we talk about in detail. We cover a ton of ground in this episode: mindsets, discipline, opportunities, talents, leadership. At one point, KD says he is just energy giving energy, and you will feel that in this episode. KD speaks with such passion about a range of topics, it's hard not to be inspired when you listen to him. This conversation was a true joy, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. Alright, on to the episode. All right, we are really excited to welcome two-time Olympian Kadivis Robinson onto the podcast. Kadivis, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Nah, it's an honor for both of us, for sure.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
You know, I don't know you personally. I've watched you from afar for a long time track and field fan. And this is great for me to be able to pick your brain, one of the greats in the sport. But actually, before we get into some of that stuff, I would really like to talk to you a little bit about your childhood, your past, how you came up and got into the sport of running. From my understanding, a little bit of a rough childhood, but you had some really key figures also in your life that helped guide you through it and get you to where you are today. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about you as a child and how you got to be a runner in the first place.
Yeah, so essentially I started out as I'm from Texas, so everybody played football. I started out playing football. And when I got in high school, for the most part, our football coach kind of made us run track, especially if you was a specialty event type guy. So if you was a wide receiver, cornerback, those types of things. So I was a wide receiver, I was a cornerback, had to run track. And then it didn't hurt that, you had girls running around in tracksuits. So you know how a 14, 15-year-old boy, so I wanted to be around the girls. And so that kind of how the track thing started. But it really wasn't, it wasn't the traditional route where as people, started when they was like 5, 6, and 7. I did run a little bit in middle school, but it wasn't the same. But mostly high school, I started really getting a little bit more serious about it. I had actually the crazy things. I had teammates that were better than I was in high school. And I always tell people this story. I didn't get a full scholarship. My junior year, I didn't make it to state until my senior year in Texas. And we didn't have a phone, so we were poor. So I didn't get recruited heavily. I didn't take any official visits. The only one I took was maybe TCU, but I'm from Fort Worth. It's right 15 minutes away from where I'm from. Right. In the South, in Texas, you have the inner city, which I was from, and you drive about 10 minutes and you cross the railroad tracks and it starts to look a little bit different.
Right.
So even though I was only 20 minutes away from, TCU when I was in high school or before then, I hardly ever went down that direction. So crazy as it sounds, by me going to TCU, it did feel like I was going to school. I was going away to school. So, but yeah, that's how I kind of got started. I started through football and things kept clicking. And my stepdad passed when I was a senior. And so I'm the only child on my mom's side. My biological father, he has 2 more kids, but I'm the only child on my mom's side. My mom met my stepdad when she was like 18 years old, really young. My stepdad's way older than my mom. And so essentially, he passed when I was like 17. So you're thinking my mom's like 35, my only child. She had been my dad the whole time. So I didn't want to go nowhere further, so that's one of the reasons I chose to stay close to home. But originally it came from running track and chasing girls.
I'm curious about that, though. So when I think of football players doing track and field, I think of 100 meters, I think of long jump, I think of the short sprints, but you are an 800-meter runner. So How did you find the middle distances? Was that in high school or was that later?
So I did it. I did it one year in middle school, and I did the 800, and it was torture.
Yes.
And I still remember the day I ran the 800, and I remember I was coming down the last part. I could still see it, which is remarkable. Yeah. And I remember my team was like, "Go faster, keep going." I remember I literally looked over and be like, "I'm going as fast as I can." But in high school, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Our coach, he wasn't the track coach, but he told us we needed to run track, but he wasn't specific. So he said he needed to run track. We needed to run track, but he didn't specify what events we needed to do. So when I started running, obviously I went to school in the inner city and everybody wanted to do sprints. So I thought, okay, because I didn't really I didn't really want to run. So it was like, okay, do the sprints. And then, of course, I didn't do no mileage, so I didn't want to do the distance. So for me, it was like, okay, the mid-distance was the kind of the in-between. And then also, I kind of figured out a long time that the middle distance was kind of dictated on how tough you were. If you're tough and you can handle pain, then that's the event to go. I wasn't really into going long. But then on the sprints, I really didn't want to do that because we had a lot of sprinters, and then you got to be, I just wanted to kind of do my own thing, and that's kind of how I picked the middle distance.
Well, it's interesting. As a 5K, 10K guy, the 800 meters for me is complete torture. There's one benefit that it's over in about 2 minutes. And the negative is that I feel like my stomach is coming out of my mouth at the end of it. And I feel like I'm turning myself inside out. And it's a whole different kind of pain than a long distance run. I've always joked that and the 400 meter hurdles to me feel like the two kind of hardest events on your body in some sense because of the mix of speed and endurance that it takes out of you.
Yeah, but I think the difference is you start to think about when you think about the 800, you don't have your own lane though.
That's true.
So you don't have lanes, and then also in the 800, someone else's pace has an influence. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's two. Thirdly, in the 800, you can put more than 8 people in the race. So you have a couple of things, whereas in the 400 hurdles, you only can have as many people as there are lanes. But at 800, sometimes we go to races, especially when I was a professional, we go to Europe, sometimes we have 13, 14 people. So that made it more of a challenge. But again, you have to, and I tell my athletes this now, you have to embrace the idea that it's going to hurt. It's no way around it. So, but that can be an advantage. Depending on how your mind works, that can be an advantage because if you're able to take the pain a bit, you're going to have an advantage over most people who are afraid of the pain.
Katie, when did you start the front running style where you would just kind of just go to the front and just kind of put it out there and start doing it? Because I was very fortunate enough. I was telling you before we started the show recording earlier today. I was telling you that you are one of my heroes as a middle and long distance runner, but primarily a middle distance runner when I was competing heavily professionally. Man, I remember watching you and looking at the way that you would run from the front quite a bit. I feel like there was a point when you weren't doing that all the time, and then you I feel like you flipped and just said, I'm doing it every time. And man, it was just, for me, it was magic to watch because I'm sitting there going, man, there are very few people, even in the 800 meter, that has the courage, really, to go out there and dictate the race, especially at the highest level in the sport. And you were doing it, I felt like, at a time when a lot of people would never dare to do it. They would just try to sit and kick. Where did that come from? And when did you make a switch from doing that?
I did.
Doing that strictly? Okay. So I do remember that correctly.
Yeah. So what happened is, in college, by my senior year, I had pretty good speed. I ran on our 4x4. Our 4x4 was second.
Yeah.
I split 44 mids. So I came from a 400, 800 background. And so when I went to the pros, you learn really quickly that, if you start going out quick like that, people just sit on you and now kick you.
Right.
Because I can run fast. But what happened is I happened was to be blessed to have the advice of Johnny Gray. And so Johnny Gray would always, he would take it out and he called it the Twilight Zone. Yep. And what that is that it's like, Johnny, we trained hard. And so everybody trains hard, right? But people used to think as if you just go to races and you just decide, okay, I'm going to lead. No, it don't work like that. Like it's not like you're just in front. You're actually running a race. I remember Wilson Kipketer said that he would always do fairly well in 800 meters because he knew how to run it. It's like playing poker. So if there's actually a way to run any event, I don't care if it's the mile, 5K, 10. There is a way. It don't mean everyone has to run it that way, but there's a basic way that you could run these races that gives you a high likelihood and probability of having success. So Johnny would say that, okay, if you think about it, he always said if you come through a certain, what he would call slow times, everybody's going to be in the race. And now you got to rate everybody. Right. But if you make it a certain pace tempo, well, now you're only making it so that only a certain amount of people can run that race, or everybody else will have to run personal best. So you're narrowing the field on who you're really racing. Because when you start going, let's say when I would go out 49, 50 points, there's just going to be some people who just not going to do it. They're going to say, forget him, right?
That was me.
John
I have a wonderful story for you, though. And I know you, I know your mind's like a trap, KD. I know you remember this Mount Sac race. It's my 5th year at UCLA. I just started coming on the scene, and I did something real dumb in that race. And you told me afterwards, you said, when I heard you comment, he said, anybody that made that move on the backstretch on that second lap is going to pay for it. And ooh, baby, did I pay for it. But you knew what you were doing. Yeah. So keep telling what you're saying, though, because you're beautiful. You're right on.
It's okay to do that type of run. It's like anything in life, right?
Yeah.
If you're a pharmacist, it doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. There's a system, a way of actually doing things. And that's what it was. So at that point, I realized what my skill set was at then and how my training were then, that gave me the highest probability and possibility of success. I think people got to realize that I wasn't the most talented or whatever you call it. I wasn't one that went to New Balance Nationals. I didn't win state. I only went to state 1 year. I didn't get a lot of, so I was just a guy. So, a lot of my success was just coming from hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. So that's kind of important to note because I wasn't going to beat people just by talent. That wasn't going to be the case. So I had to really be strategic in the way I did things.
KD,
that was very clear. Just to put it out there, that was very clear. Observing you, KD, that was very clear about you. That stood out to me when I started getting to know you and started paying attention to you as an athlete, as a man, as a person. That was very clear. You were willing to do the work.
As an 800-meter runner, all right, from your perspective, do you think that the shortness of the event allows you to run from the front and not get punished? I feel like if you're a miler or you're a 5K runner and you just say, I'm just going to take the lead from the front, I mean, everyone's going to be just salivating because they get to draft for that much longer, right? But maybe the 800 is one of those events where the shortness of it, the drafting, do you feel it just doesn't have that much of an effect on the outcome then?
Did they salivate on Matt Centrowitz?
Well, that's true. I mean, you can do it. I'll grant that you can do it. But I think it's
more difficult.
Right? It's much more difficult. To me, it feels, so that's the good point I would say. So it plays to your strengths individually, but as a strategy, it's generally, I think, correctly considered to be more difficult to execute.
Yeah, but it's a couple of reasons for that. Okay, one of the reasons, because of the win and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the reason that leading is challenging for people is because of when you're leading the way your mind thinks. In other words,
yes,
when you're following, you're only thinking about your position behind the people who are leading.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, when they lead, they think forward and backward. In other words, they're thinking about what people are doing behind them.
Yep.
So it adds a level of thinking that doesn't serve your purpose. When you're leading, you don't have to think what's going on behind you because you know that they're behind you. And you know by whatever pace you're running that they have to be running that pace or faster to pass you.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can dictate their pace. So it's a different way of thinking. But you can't just get in the race and do it. You have to be in practice.
So I'll credit you somewhat for my willingness to run the mile this way, KD, because now I don't think I created enough of a body of work for people to remember this as far as my professional running is concerned. But like 99% of the time, that was the way that I ran my races. My coaches didn't like it, but most of the time it worked. Key thing for me was the mindset. I already knew that I was going to go out and go to the front. And I loved doing that because in my mind, number one thing was I was like, and it was always mind games like what you're describing. So I think that people need to really pay attention to what you're saying because I know the way that you think. And I've spoken to you long enough for many, many years, and almost everything you've ever said to me is on replay in my head, you know? And one of the key things for me is always knowing that you have to have a specific mindset going into something because whatever you're thinking, however you're thinking, that's primarily going to dictate the outcome that you're going to have. I always knew if I'm going to go into a race, just like you're saying, I'm going to go to the front and run a specific pace. You say it in your book, when seconds count in minor moments, major things happen. You said it. 90% of success is just following instructions. I felt like I was given a specific instruction from my college coach, Eric Peterson, and I never let it go. And I love that he said it to me. He says, if you could run a specific time, if you believe you could run 3:35 in the 1500 meters, you could do it by yourself, period. If you believe you could do it, it's not predicated on whether or not you're in a race where people are going to lead you to it. He says, if you can run 3:35 and you really believe you can run 3:35, you should be able to do it by yourself on the track, no help. And I said, okay, I believe that I could run as fast as I want. Whatever my goal is, I could do it by myself from the front, no matter who the heck's in the race. So I told myself, just like you're saying, and I think this is a great life lesson, you could determine a lot of your success by specific following and buying into specific sets of instruction and executing that to the best of your abilities. I think you're going to be more successful and you'll actually dictate a lot of more of the results because of it. And I felt like a lot of my races were more successful because I ran that way. And I just took my destiny in my own hands and I was willing to live with the consequences of that decision.
That's the thing. I think what he's asking is it easier or better to sit? I think what we do, we say sit because here's the reality. The reality is only one person can lead anyway. So no matter what the race is, only one's going to lead and the rest is going to follow. So the odds and the probability is going to be higher on follow, right? So when people start doing the math and they say, well, most people who lead don't, well, yeah, it's just it's a numbers thing, like, because you got person leading and 7 following, it's a higher probability that the person that's going to follow is going to win just because of numbers.
Right.
But when you start really doing the actual research and seeing it, for the most part, between all the greats, between El Garouge, Rudisha, whomever, it don't matter who it is and what event, Bekele, they all usually led. They all usually led up at the front, you know. And I know everybody ain't them, but that's what I like to think about. But here's the thing. Yeah. Think about this. I want you to think about this. So let's say you're going to run a race, right? And you're telling your family to watch. I used to say this. There were people that I would see before the race, and I would get into a race, and I would never see them again till the race is over. I would never hear their name or nothing. Yeah. It would just be, Howdy, Kadeem Robinson, such and such as this, such and such as this, and they'll be in the race, but they never got in. So they never even got the crowd on TV. They never got striking distance and whatever. Some people are fine with that. They are. It just not happen to be who I am, you know? So it's like, you know, because it's like, okay, you never got in, you never really got into the race. Now, I get it. If that's not the level you on or if that's not where you believe you're at, then obviously I don't tell my athletes to lead because I know, well, some of them I will, but most of them I don't because I know that's not where they're at. It's not where a lot of their skill sets are at right now. Leading is a mindset. Life is a mindset, okay? When I say leading, I'm not just talking about leading races. I'm talking about leading in life. You are husbands, I'm husbands. Being a leader of our family, that's a mindset. Now, do our wives or could our wives be leaders? Of course. Do they have the skill set? Of course. That's why I say leading is a mindset. Because you're leading because you're able to take the consequences of how things happen if it don't go right.
Right.
People who are not able to take the consequences of what happened and don't go right, they don't want to lead in anything in life. That's the thing about leading. You say, I'm going to be the leader, and I understand what comes with that. And if it don't work out, I messed up. I can live with that. Some people can't, so they're not trying to leave.
So, Katie,
That's what.
That's awesome.
You trained with Johnny Gray. Johnny Gray was famous for just running his race. Like, he got out there in the front, like you called it the Twilight Zone. He went out there and he said, "You're gonna beat me, but I'm gonna go run 142 mid at least, and you're gonna have to chase me all the way there, right?" And I'm wondering, how did you, as an athlete, train for that? Like, the mental aspect of developing the right mindset to be a leader in running races. Was that something that you guys talked about, that you actually did anything specific to train to do that better?
Okay, so let me see. Here's the fallacy that a lot of people think about us and our training. Like, we ran a lot of, like, I would go on 14-mile runs. Johnny would go on 14, 15-mile runs.
Mm-hmm.
I would go on 10-mile runs at 5:30 or so. You know, I mean, like, running for us. I'm a 4.8 guy. Okay, but then I could also run 45 open.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to remember, Johnny ran 112 for the 600. He had the world record for it. What am I saying? I'm saying that we prepared for it. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
We've run, even Dwayne Solomon, we've run 45 for the 400 in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking on film. So you had to you prepared for these types of things. Was it easy? No. But John used to always say, this is what gives you confidence. Now, see, here's where I think where a lot of people are. I'm gonna tell you, Jim Rohn, the great Jim Rohn, the motivational speaker, talks about this. He says, if he go to someone and ask him for advice on how to get better or whatever, and they tell him to read a book, he goes and get that book that day. And he reads it. Some people don't. They ask for advice and they don't do that. That's why I say 70 to 90% of success is following instructions. Some people are asked, Stephon Curry, how can I become a better free throw shooter?
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Curry would say, put your toes this way and shoot like this every day. Shoot 50 shots every day. Some people are going to go, what if it rains? He's like, no, it don't matter. Shoot 50 shots every day. What if I'm 50 shots every day? Or what if my knee hurt? Turn your legs in like this. You see, some people, they don't want to do that. They want all sorts of other things. Where I was at is when Johnny would say something, I'm looking at him going like, success leaves clues and failure leaves clues also.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking at somebody who's done it and knows how to do it, and he's telling me to do it this way, now I understand we all can't do it the same way,
right?
But I also understand none of us knows as much as all of us, right? And I know enough to know that I don't know enough. So I'm like, I'm gonna listen to somebody who knows. And so I try, but a lot of people wouldn't do it. It's amazing to me how you would ask somebody for advice, or you would have someone that has the knowledge of whatever it is, and they're giving you the information, and you simply won't do it, and then you don't even get success at it. Most people that are super successful, you hear them talking about their mentors. You hear it all the time. I don't care if it's Bill Gates, I don't care if Michael Jordan, they talk about their coach or their mentors. Think about this. Muhammad Ali's greatest of all time. He had a coach. Tiger Woods, arguably, or Jack Nicklaus, arguably the greatest golfer. They got coaches. Michael Jordan had a coach. I mean, Tom Brady, coach. You know, like, so you would think, like, who's going to be Tiger Woods' golf coach? They can't beat him in golfing, right? You're going to think, who's Tom Brady's throwing coach? I mean, he can't throw better. But they all got coaches and mentors. You're like, who was Warren Buffett had a mentor? Bill Gates had a mentor? So to me, it's like, that's a clue. And you got people out here trying it on their own. It's like, really? Like, wouldn't you think that if, you know, Usain Bolt had a coach, or Garouche or whomever.
Oh, Garouche, right.
Clue, like, you might need a coach, but man, I don't do it, and this is the way, and I read this and all that. So for me, I just listened to, I asked the person that I had seen do it more than I've done it. And you got to realize something, I trained with them. Johnny ain't normal, man. Like, you got, one time I was in Monaco. No, I was in Monaco. I'm gonna tell you something. One time I was in Monaco, and me and Gary Reed, who ran for Canada, 800-meter runner, good guy, pretty close friend. And we were at Monaco, and in Monaco, after the race, they have a party. The Prince Albert has a party. It's a nice little party. They got, girls dancing, great food, the whole nine. And so right before the party, me and Gary was sitting like on the side. We didn't go inside where the place was at, and we were talking. And Gary said something. Gary said, "Katie, you know something? For us to do what we doing, you got to think different." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, think about this. We get up and we go train as hard as we can train. We just tap ourselves out. We're hurting. We're tired. We're sore. We try to go as hard as we can go. We got to go till we can't go no more. And then we go to sleep and come back and do it again."
Yeah.
That's not, you got to think different to do that. That's how it was. So when I started talking to John, he would say stuff that was a different way of thinking. The way you would see it, it would think different. My first USA championships, I was a NCAA champion. And it was right after that, and I go to NCAA championships. It's in New Orleans. It's hot as all I do. It's 100-something degrees. I'm on the line. Johnny Gray and Mark Everett are talking on the line. This is the finals. They talking before the race starts. I can't make this up. I'm standing up, NCAA champion, running fast, whatever. I'm on the line. Johnny sits on the track. He looks over. Mark Everett, one of the greats, he said,
"Yep.
Hey, Jay, great. What's up, baby? How you feeling?" Johnny say, "Hey, Mark, man, you know how it is, man. I'm feeling pretty good. How you doing?" Mark said, "Man, I'm cool, man." He say, "Jay, great. What you finna do?" Johnny say, "You know what I'm finna do, man. I'm finna take it out, make these young bucks run." Mark said, "Okay, I'm going with you." They talking. We listening to them. So me, the way I think, I'm like, okay, y'all think y'all that bowdy. Let's see what it is. Y'all gonna go out and y'all gonna let all us know what y'all gonna do, and y'all gonna do this, this, and that. Okay, what's up? They got first and second.
Yep.
It's a way of thinking.
Yeah.
Man, nah, that's how does that make you feel when you look at yourself that way? Like, where does that come from for you in terms of like the humility to look at that and actually apply it? Because I feel like there's something missing in a lot of us out there who you're saying most people don't do it. Why don't most people do it, especially when the answer is sitting right in front of them? Like, what was it about you that allowed you to do that? Because you're great, KD. You're great, man. You did a lot. You've done a lot. You're doing a lot. Where the heck does that come from, man?
You know what Jim Rohn would say to that?
What?
I don't. You don't know.
You don't know.
No, seriously.
Oh,
man.
Seriously. Yeah.
What is it? What is it about? What is it? Okay, I got two kids. I got two kids, right? I got three kids, but I'm saying just take two of my sons. One of them I could tell, get up, do your homework first, and then you can play. I can tell both of them that. And one would just do it every time. And one, why? Every day. Who knows?
Come on, Katie, you got to solve this. You got to solve this problem. All the parents out there listening, they want to know how do I get both my kids to do the homework?
The answer is you never have to entice them. There has to be a carrot. There has to be a why. We all respond to different whys, right? So that's why you have basketball players or football players that was really good in college, but they get to the pros, they're just average, because their why was making it to the pros and getting money. And once they made it to the pros and got money, their why was fulfilled. So now they want to be, but the greats like the Kobe's and the Jordans and the Brady's, man, listen, Tom Brady, I'm not a New England fan, but Tom Brady, man, you got to study this guy.
He's amazing.
This is a guy.
He's phenomenal.
This guy didn't get drafted to the 5th or 6th round, right? Now, Tom Brady went on, of course he won a lot, but after he had already won 2 or 3 Super Bowls and had 2 or 3 MVPs, they interviewed him and they asked him about the draft night. They interviewed him about the draft night. And he explained, okay, in the draft, he was over there with his mom and dad. They were sitting in front and they was going through the first round and he didn't get drafted. In the second round, he didn't get drafted. And by the 3rd or 4th round, when he didn't get drafted, he started getting frustrated. So he got so mad that he got up and he grabbed a bat and he had to go for a walk. And his dad got up to go for a walk with him. Now, this is Tom Brady after he done won 3 Super Bowls explaining this. And he's crying. He's crying, remembering it. This is at the point where he had already won 3 after this. He's remembering and telling the story, and he starts to cry because he said, man, my parents was there for me. They believed in me. We went to the 4th and 5th round. So that's why his why is so strong that even after he done proved them wrong 1, 2, 3, 4 times, he still feel it and he's crying. See, that's what we all have greatness in us. God don't make nothing not great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you're not a religious person, you got to agree with that. I mean, listen, your phone, there's nothing on your phone that's just there for no reason. There's no extra parts in nothing in the universe. Think about it. Grass, the air, caps, your glasses, your shoes. Nothing has an extra part. Like the movie Hugo, he says it. If there's no extra parts, then I refuse to believe I'm an extra part. That means I'm here for a reason.
Right.
We all have that. But there's some of us that don't really take the time to realize what is the reason. Why are we here? Right? And some of us do. Now, why is that? Who knows? You know? So for me, when certain things come, I learned when I went, because I used to ask myself because remember, I wasn't good. So I had to figure out why these people beat me. You know, why when I'm in class, some people making better grades than I make, you know? Why is this person more successful? Whatever, right? I started that as a parent. We all parents, you know, like I asked one time I asked my athletes, I said, when I was at UNLV, I said, who has had one of the biggest influences on your lives? We were driving to a camp. Don't you know the majority of them said coaches? And then the next number was like moms and then grandparents. And I threw a joke out there. I said, what about dads? But my point is, that's how important
right.
That's how important coaching is. And a lot of them say, coach. So I guess what I'm saying is, I try to find out like why, because maybe I think differently, but I'm one that I look at people and I go, this guy that much faster than me? Like, what is it? Right? And it's fine. It ain't like it's a jealous thing. It's just an inquisitive thing. Because if I'm going to be put, like y'all doing a podcast, right? The way my mind works would be, if I'm going to be in, either I'm in or I'm not in. The worst place you can be is middle ground. Mm-hmm. So either it's like you either lead or you follow. The worst thing would be kind of in the middle of that. Because you're running enough energy that you're taking energy away from you, but you're not running fast enough to break nobody.
Yep.
So either lead and make their butt work, or either just run slow. You can still be leading, but you can run slow that it's not affecting you. But don't run just fast enough that it's kind of quick, but not so quick that it break nobody, but just slow it. What are you doing? You're going to get out kicked. People going to beat you. Yeah. So it's the same thing in life whenever you're doing something. Either you're in or you out. That middle ground's for the birds. Most people want to play on the middle ground. So my mind works like that. It's like if I'm doing a podcast, I'm going to be looking at other podcasts, and every once in a while I look at something. I've seen people, I'm like, they're good. Like, I see why they do that much better than me and making that much money and all that. They're that much better. I went and trained with a group and when I was older and running. You know, it's funny because I went and trained with them because I wanted to know. They had ran faster and better and whatever. And so this person who was top 3 in the world, all he did, he would wake up in the morning, I'm not making this up, and he would go for a little jog and eat, go back to his room and go to sleep. Get up for lunch, eat, go back to his room and sleep. And he would leave around 2 to go for our practice. We would tap out in practice, tap out. And then we would leave from there, jump in this lake to ice our legs, come back, he would eat and go back in the room and sleep. He did that every single day for 2 and 3 weeks. We were in Sweden. I was bored out. I was going crazy, man. I needed some. That's all. So I started realizing I could do the workouts he did. But all he did was train and sleep and eat. That's it. I mean, literally. So I started noticing, you know what? I see the difference now. You know, his family, he had a family like I did, but his family was back where he's from. And he had committed to being gone from them 3 to 4 months straight.
Yep.
I was like, you go see my wife or whatever. So my point is, we take for granted I tell my athletes this, you take for granted how dedicated and disciplined some people really are. There's some people on their regular jobs. We thinking we doing something, we work 10 hours. There's some people that be putting in 12 and 13 hours and it's nothing.
It's average.
Right. Exactly. But you don't see it or you don't know. Like, you don't know. I tell my athletes that people didn't know that, my senior year in high school, I used to look at how much fat was in bread. I'm not high school, I mean college. How much fat was in bread. I mean, you had no idea that.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I can name 1,000. I remember I tell people, like, when we would go over to Europe, some of us would take our own oatmeal. Now people say, okay, why would you do that? Because you wanted oatmeal? But they got oatmeal in Europe. So why would you take your own? Because we wanted this oatmeal.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to take a chance of having a different type of oatmeal. So we would take our own peanut butter. But you wouldn't know that. Another story I got, it was this high school phenom that ran, I'm not going to say her name, but it ran in the school. She was going on her recruiting visits. On one of her recruiting visits, it was her birthday. So on her birthday, on a recruiting visit, they said, hey, let's go get some ice cream. She said, no, I can't get ice cream because I'm in training or whatever. And they said, huh? She can't get ice cream. So you're on a recruiting visit. And she said, yeah, but I still don't eat it. What's your birthday? Well, I don't want to have it. Now let me ask you something. Would the ice cream hurt her? She number one? No. No.
Right.
But the discipline and the dedication to be a high school kid and overcome the pressure of college kids that want you to be on your official visit and have ice cream on your birthday, to be able to say that shows you why she's good. It ain't just the hard training and the running, it's the other stuff. Can you do that? Can you be at the University of whatever? Let's say I'm at Ohio State, and Ohio State's ranked number 1 in the nation, and we're playing that team up north, and they're ranked top 3. And we beat them, and it's all these parties, and we got practice in the morning. Can you lead that game at halftime when we down by 4 because you need to go home and ice and take your butt to sleep and not go to a party and we're playing the biggest game? Can you do that? Mm-hmm. And you're going to say, no, man, come on, no. But there's some people who can. And there's some people who it's not even a big deal for them. And those people will beat you.
We used to joke, and I used to joke about this when I showed up at UCLA and Meb was there, and Meb was the best distance runner in the country, right? And he was already the best. He was a champion multiple times. He was fantastic, and I didn't get it, honestly. I was young. I didn't understand what he was doing or why he was so successful. It was all there, like it was all visible. You could later, as I got a little more mature and I started to like understand how everything works, I would look back and be like, oh man, he was just living the template, right? Like that's it. Like he was living the life that you have to live if you want to achieve what he was achieving. And it was that his lifestyle was leading to the achievements. It wasn't that he was so talented that he justified his lifestyle. It was reversed, you know? But we would joke that like Meb wouldn't spit unless he had already calculated whether he thought it was going to dehydrate him for his next rep or something, right? And it was this idea that Meb was so singularly focused and disciplined, but beyond that, it's the willingness to act on he's already made the decision. Like he's 100% committed to the end goal that he's pursuing, and so anything else that has to be sacrificed or decisions that have to be made, those are the terms in which that decision is going to get made. Right. And I get the impression that that's the mindset you adopted as you were reaching higher and higher levels in the 800 meters is you're 100% committed and you're going to bring your own oatmeal because you're not taking any chances. You know what you need and you've already figured that out. And now you're going to execute.
Yeah. And I was honest with myself. See, that's another thing. I was honest with myself because I knew that if I didn't do A, B, C, D, and E, I was that kid that didn't get recruited out of high school. Mm-hmm. The A, B, C, D, and E made me NCAA champion. If you take one of those off, now I'm back just being a person that scores at conference. I understood that. Mm. Some people don't get that. They do A, B, C, and D and become really good, and then they think they're good. And then when they do A, B, C and don't do D, they wonder, well, what's going on? I'm this type of person. I'm only running. No, you only this type of person if you do A, B, C, D, and E. But they don't get that.
You never settle, do you, KD? That's the big difference. I think that you if you're saying, this is the requirements, this is the instruction, and you got to follow the instructions. And you start to, this is what happens with a lot of people, or at least correct me if I'm wrong. You're a coach, a motivational speaker, a leader. So I want to ask you this because I feel like you could truly speak to this as somebody who's been leading people and coaching people for years. You're saying that there's A through, E, or right, 5 or 6 things that you need to do for something. But most people, once they start to experience success, A, B, and C, they get done to say, oh, and things start to work out. they forget that there's still 2 or 3 more things that they need to do to keep it going and to build on the success that they've had. Is that a common issue that you face as a coach, and when you're mentoring and leading, encouraging people and leading people and kind of trying to help them set themselves up for success?
Most people are doing it in life, not just running. Think about this. So right now, people our age or a little bit older are asking themselves, what's up with kids these days? What's up with the kids these days? They disrespectful. They don't work hard. They can't go through nothing. They complain about everything, whatever, right? They're not as tough. They want whatever, right? So they say, these kids have changed. You know what I tell them? No. The parents, you changed. They say, huh? I said, because you wanted the kids to have it better than you had. You see, because right. I wanted my kid to have it better than I had it. So now he ain't having to cut the grass twice a week. He ain't having to wash the dish. He ain't having to walk to school in the rain. He ain't having to get into a fight or whatever it is. Some of those things made us weak. Some of those things that because we had to walk to or from school, or because all of our friends used to ride the bike together, and we couldn't go back, and I couldn't go back, and if I got into a fight and go back and tell my mom or whatever it is, it's like, okay, you're gonna have to fight. So, and people say, well, fighting ain't good, but it's something you learn about yourself when you have to have a fight. Well, we took away all that stuff, right? And so now kids go to college and they've never gone through anything. Not by themselves. They've only gone through stuff that their parents or coaches or friends can help them with. So now they're faced with life and they got this issue and only they got to solve it. And they don't know how. They don't have any practice with it. They don't have any practice with it. It's like the butterfly. You get this butterfly and he's in a cocoon. You say, oh, he's been there long enough. And you cut that cocoon open and you go, and he try to fly, he's gonna fly to the ground and die. Yeah. Because he's strengthening his wings. He needs to be in the cocoon and work his way out. So when he started doing it, he's already strong enough to fly. We're not allowing people that opportunity. And that's what's happening.
How do you challenge people now, with that being said, and, young and old? I mean, again, you're working with all kinds of people. People are always reaching out to you. I'm sure you attract this. What do you do? What do you do to help people to work through today's challenges because of what's been taken away because of convenience and technology?
What I like to do, I'm not saying other people should do it because it's not always the best. I like to be real. I think we've gone to a point now in life, in society, that we're not real with people. We're not real. There's a time in which if you didn't make the team, you didn't make the team. I don't care what the sport was, in high school, middle school, you just simply didn't make it. There was a time in which if you didn't get a job, you was just gonna hear about it. Whatever those things were, you was faced with knowing like, okay, I didn't do it. And so I think that's missing now. I think there comes a time in which we need to, because we got to realize something. How can I say this? When we was younger, we only got likes if there was a reason to get a like. Now these kids are getting likes from Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, right? So what I'm saying is there needs to be something now in which people can be real, right? Because once we're real about with things, that's the only way we're going to get better. We all know, John, people that should have been better, even in running or in their grades or in their relationships. There are people, E.T. says this. He said, man, there are people when it comes to their jobs, they're amazing. They're extraordinary in their jobs. But when it comes to their relationships, they're average.
Average. Yeah. E.T. is Eric the hip hop preacher. Eric Thomas is who he's referring to. Yeah.
Now, would you want to be an amazing worker, but an average dad? That's backward. Right. So my point is, but some people don't know. See, you can't see yourself when you're in the frame. You can't see yourself in the frame. So us as mirrors. Now, people gonna get mad at you. But Hey, I'm not in the business. If I'm your coach, if I'm your advisor, if I'm your mentor, I'm not in the business of making you happy and laugh and stuff. That's what a clown does. A clown's job is to make everybody happy.
Right.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to make you. I'm trying to awaken you and have you see your full potential. Mm-hmm. Because in you seeing your full potential, that's going to help me see my full potential. Mm-hmm. That's the way the universe works. The universe is neutral. See, I'm an amateur on the Bible now, but I believe in spirituality. But the Bible and all the great books have lessons and stuff that are tried and true. Mm-hmm. And in the book, it talks about the talent, the parable of the talents. It talks about everybody have talents, right? This is true. Carl Lewis told me this when I first went pro. He said, KD, in life, everybody get opportunities. And this is Carl Lewis.
Yeah.
Get opportunities. So I frowned up at him. I'm looking at him like, man, you Carl Lewis. What are you talking about? Everybody get opportunities. Right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So everybody get opportunity. I said, okay, Carl, whatever. He said, no, listen to me, KD. He said, but the thing is, everybody don't get the same amount of opportunities, and everybody don't get the same type of opportunity.
Right.
So he said, one person might get 10, and one other person might get 4. One person might get this huge opportunity, another person might get a whole bunch of small ones. So it's not what's important about how many or how big you get, because we don't necessarily dictate that all the time. It's taking advantage of the opportunities you get. So here's the thing. The universe and God gave everybody some talents. Now, how many, who knows? How big, who knows? But you got talents. You have to. Everybody has it. Our job is to recognize our talents, develop our talents, multiply our talents, and share our talents. So in the parable of talents, the great master is telling them, I gave one person, let's say 5 talents, another person, let's say 3, and another person 1. The person who gave 5 talents went out, worked that talent, developed it, multiplied it, and shared it. The master said, okay, you did great with the talents. I'm giving you more. The other person had 3 talents. He went out, recognized it, developed it, multiplied it, and shared it. He said, okay, I'm going to give you more. Give the person 1 talent. The person who got 1 talent said, now, hold on. I only got 1 talent. Now, that person had 5. If he lose 2, he still got more than me. That person got 3. If he lose 1, he still got more than me. So I only had 1. I didn't want to come to you empty-handed. The master said, huh? He said, I didn't want to come to you with nothing because I'm scared I was going to lose the 1 talent. He said, what do you mean? That ain't what you're supposed to do with your talents. Your talent is not for you to harbor them. Your talent is to use it. He said, so here's the thing. The person that had 5 talents that worked it and used it and shared it gave more. The person that had 3 talents who worked it and used it and shared it gave more. The person who got 1 talent that did nothing, he took the talent away and gave it to the people that had the talent. So what does this mean? It means in life, we all have talents. We need to recognize, develop, multiply, and share. Now, here's the catch. If we don't, even that talent's going to be taken. But if we do, it's going to be multiplied. So how many of us have seen somebody else doing what we know we can do and doing it better? We sitting there watching them on TV going, man, I know I can sing like that. We watch them write books. Man, this person's an author. I can write a book better than them. We watch them do all these things, and we know we can do it. And the reason is they recognize their talents, they developed it, multiplied it, and shared it. And we didn't. Now, here's the catch. It doesn't say you got to be a good person or a bad. It doesn't say if a person's a bad person and they have a talent and they multiply it and share it and develop it and stuff. They don't get no more. No.
That's a good
point. If you're a terrible
Yeah.
person and you use your talents, it's going to multiply. People complaining about certain leaders, why they doing this, they're a bad person. The book doesn't say you got to be good or bad. The book it says if you have a talent, you share it, you're going to get more. You can be the best person in the world, have this talent, don't share it, it's going to be taken away. And we know people like that. We know good people struggling. Good people sitting at home. Good people not reaching their potential because they just sitting there waiting for things to happen. And they're talking about these other people. I hear people, singers and dancers. Look at Cardi B, she did it. Or look at this person, that person. It don't say you got to be a good person.
Right.
So that's what happens.
It's a funny thing to think, isn't it? I'm a good person, so I should be getting these things. That's not how it works, man. You still got to put in the work, man.
We want to think because somebody's a so-called bad person, they shouldn't be getting all this great stuff.
Right.
That's not the point. The universe is neutral. The universe, what's today? Today is Friday, right?
Right.
What do you think the universe think today is? We came up with these days, man. The universe is neutral. If let me ask you something. What your friends call you? You have a nickname? What everybody call you? Not you, John, but
Brian. Just Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian. If you had coffee and your best friend put sugar in the coffee, what is it going to do?
It's going to dissolve.
Make it sweet.
You make it sweet, yeah.
Make it sweet. But what if your worst enemy put sugar in your coffee? What's it going to do?
It's going to taste exactly the same.
Make it sweet.
That's right.
Now check this out. You got coffee, and your worst enemy put poison in it. It's going to kill you, right? What if your best friend put poison in it? It's still going to kill you. It don't matter who gives you the stuff. The universe don't work like that. If you're getting bad stuff, just because you're a good person or it comes from a good person don't make no difference. And if you're getting good stuff, see what happens is we want to think that we sit back and because I'm good, I'm doing this and that we're supposed to get more. I wish it was that way. I really do. But it's not. And that's how life is. And once we figure some of this stuff out, we're going through it. The universe and the world is going through some stuff now. And, I don't want to get into that, but we're going through some real stuff. And I have people that I know that's sitting around and I'm a realist, man. I like to be straight up about it. It's like they sitting around and begging and complaining and wishing and hoping, and they're waiting for someone to save them. Mm-hmm. And that's great. And I get it. I really do. I really get it. But sometimes you have to save yourself. It sucks, but it's the reality. Some things in life, we have to do it ourselves. And the biggest challenge that most athletes have is once we work hard, we think the results just going to pop up by themselves. Oh, I did the work. I ran 80 miles a week. I did 5 miles at 4. I did 5 times 1 mile at 4:20 pace. So now you think you're just supposed to jump in the race and run 13:10. No, you still got to run it. You still got to get in the race, warm up, put yourself in position, and take your butt around that track. And when it gets hard, you got to still plug in and focus and run it. Just because you did all the work, do you know how many people, if we was to ask coaches, do you know how many people that if you ask their coaches, they say, man, that kid should have ran 3:30 for the 15. Oh, it's so many. It's probably 100 times the amount who actually did it.
Right.
We all know people we train with and we like, man, I know people I train with, I'm like, they should have ran 143, 144 also.
Yeah. We all have those guys. And as you speak, I think to myself, man, maybe I was one of them, right? Honestly. But I want to ask you about something. You've hit like 3 things that all tie back to this question I've been wanting to ask you, which is, how you don't go through the hardships, you don't overcome the obstacles, everything's kind of handed to kids, all this stuff. I was, doing my research, reminding myself, I was like, I watched Cadivas for 15 years. I know about Cadivas Robinson, right? But then I'm going back and reading and making sure I know. And you finished 4th, if I'm not wrong. I think you finished 4th in the Olympic trials 2 times. And that is like the dreaded worst position ever, right? And I think it's the reason I want to ask you about it specifically is you did it happened twice and at very different stages in your career. And I'm curious, how you were able to overcome it the first time, and then of course you're like I imagine the second time was even harder, right? And trying to figure out what to do about that. It just seems like you have a very unique experience that you've gone through. You made the Olympics twice and you just missed the Olympics twice. And whatever you've taken from that, if you could share it with us, I'd love to know.
Okay, the first one. So on the first one, when I missed it, some good came out of it. And what it was is, at the time I was young, I was a professional athlete. The previous year I was a USA champion.
That's right.
I lived in South California. So on the surface, I'm 2 years out of college, a professional athlete, living in Santa Monica, on a contract, like everything's good. But after I didn't make the team, I remember going back to Santa Monica. This is the middle of the summer now. The weather's great, it's tourists everywhere. And I remember sitting in my apartment in Santa Monica and I'm twiddling my thumbs because it never occurred to me that I wouldn't make the team. I felt as if I didn't have a life. And it's sad, because I didn't make the team. I feel like I didn't have a life because I didn't have other things necessarily going on. So what that made me realize is that I needed to have what I call more of a complete balanced life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I went back to grad school and got my master's degree. Because I said I needed to have a little bit more than what I had. It's good to put everything in, but it's a balance in doing that. So that was the first time I missed the team, which ended up probably being somewhat of a good thing, because if I would have made it, I probably wouldn't have ran as long as I ended up running. Right. So then secondly, so I made the team, and then the next time I made a team was one of the best things that ever happened. And people find it as being pretty amazing because it doesn't make sense. But when I went to the second time in 2008, I was in great shape. I was older. I was married, and I had a son. My wife and son came to the Olympic trials. And so whenever my son was only 8 months or whatever it was, 9 months or whatever it was. So all he knows, I'm there with him and my wife and my coach, and then I leave. And he hears all this noise or whatever. So I go, I run, and I miss it. I'm diving, me and Christian, Lopez, whatever. Don't make it. I fall. I'm in total shock. I walk off the track, and I see Johnny. Great. And Johnny's like, oh, man, I can't believe it. This is now we're going to go. He's trying to keep me up. I see my wife. She's crying, And I see my son. He's like, Dada! You see, because my son didn't care about none of that jump.
No.
All he knew is Daddy was here. He left. I heard a lot of noise, and he's back. Pick me up. Mm-hmm. And so I remember giving an interview, and I said, if this is the worst thing that happened to me this year, I'm a blessed man. So what does that mean? It means that because of my first time missing it, I was a little bit more prepared this time, for one. But the most amazing thing happened. When I went back to Santa Monica this time, I didn't sit in my apartment and twiddle my thumbs. I went to Venice Beach and went for a walk. Now, when you live there, you don't go as much. Definitely in the summer because it's too hot.
Right.
I needed a release. I went for a walk. But I didn't put on USA stuff. I just had on regular clothes. Never go down. I went for a walk. It's packed. And as I'm walking, there's an African guy selling incense. He sees me. I don't even have on USA stuff. It's packed. He stopped and said, oh, my goodness, Kadavis Robinson, man, come here, man. You should have made a team. I was rooting on you, man. I mean, I was screaming at the TV. I was crying. You didn't make it, man. You're one of my favorite runners. Your interviews motivate me. Hey, keep running. Don't retire, man. I'm telling you, keep running. And I'm looking at this dude, and everybody stopped. And they looked at this African dude with this incense, and I'm going, because I don't know the guy. And he said, don't retire. I said, I'm not retiring. What are you talking about? He said, man, I watched your interviews when you say this. I like how you do this. The whole nine, right? And it hit me. It hit me. Everywhere I would go after that to meet, grandparents would come up to me. Hey, Katie, man, I saw the race and I felt so. People would come up to me. You know what was happening? There was people who had probably always wanted to come and say something to me, but they saw me as too big of a star or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now that I could make it, they saw me vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And they felt comfortable coming and telling me why I inspired them and motivated them. So what it did, it gave me my why. Why am I running? What am I able to do through running? So when I didn't make it that second time, it gave me a little bit more energy, because now when I continued to run after that, it gave me a purpose. I understood that through my winning or losing, I still could bring about effective change, motivation, and inspiration. And it was one of the best things that happened.
Well, you continued on, and actually you made the team in 2012, which I think if you had asked somebody in 1998, would Kadavis Robinson be an Olympian in 2012, everyone would be like, nobody runs that long. Like, nobody's going to do that. And so you stuck with it, which is, I mean, what an achievement to come back in 2012 and make it. I'm so impressed. I love that you took those lessons out of that. One of the challenges that I struggle with in trying to explain how to overcome these obstacles in your life is that it so much depends on your perspective on what you choose to take out of it. Like you're gonna have the setbacks. There's nobody whose life has no setbacks. It might look like it from outside, but everybody has the setbacks, and the people who are able to look at them and take something productive out of them are the ones who continue to achieve. And obviously you were able to do that in different ways in both of them. And I was always curious about it. I was like, oh, when am I ever going to get to talk to somebody else who had the same experience twice at two different stages of their life, right? That like such a devastating experience from the outside. And yet I kind of suspected that you were going to have a really positive story to tell out of it because of just who you are, right?
Yeah, but at the time, you got to realize it doesn't feel like it's a positive tool.
Oh, absolutely
right?
Not at all. Not at all. I can relate. I can relate in the moment. Not at all.
Yeah. So you have to have this trust of how things are going to work out. But you also I'll say this. The setbacks and defeats and all those types of things is part of the process, right? But here's the thing. Accomplishing a goal is not so much as important as it is in pursuing a goal. There's power in pursuit. And let me explain. If you are this person here and you're trying to be this person here, you're doing all this work, dedication, sacrifice, all these things here. You're becoming stronger, you're becoming smarter, you're becoming better, you're becoming more dedicated. All this stuff you're doing here in pursuit of this goal. So even if you don't accomplish the goal, you're a better person. There's power in pursuit. And once you know that, like you guys doing a podcast or a business, right? Yeah, it'd be great to get it up to be the #1 podcast in the world and make all this money and all that type of stuff. But you're going to go through some things. You're going to learn some things. You're going to pick up some skills. You're going to meet some people in this part. It's going to give you some power. That's going to be great. Even if you don't end up being the #1 podcast in the world. See, most people don't get that. They don't see that from this point to here, this pursuit is power in it. Because even if you don't accomplish this, you're a better person by going through it.
That's Go Be More in a nutshell.
That's 100%. What you just said now is what
everything.
we are trying
That's everything.
to.
Yeah.
That's the message that we want to convey with the brand is the power in the pursuit. You going forward.
Can we use that, please? Can we use that clip, please? I mean, KD, that's everything.
I love
man.
that. KD, we're hitting the end of the interview, and we always want to ask. Oh, go ahead, John. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick. I want to just bring up a Steve Jobs quote. I pulled it up so I could get it right on my phone here. My success, comparatively speaking, pales in comparison to your success, but I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to not only have gained the perspective, but to have some similar experiences. The Olympic trials is one of those, in track and field specifically, is one of the most, I think, amazing, magical things that a person, an athlete can experience, but it's probably one of the most heartbreaking experiences to have as well when it doesn't work out. And for the majority, it does not work out. But when you, in the moment when it happens, I can't speak for all the other athletes that have had the similar experience where they didn't make the team, like you and I had on a few occasions. Obviously, you've made multiple teams as well. But in the moment, it sucks. It's so heartbreaking. But when I look back at my 2008 experience where I finished 6th and I was 0.75 seconds from first, not just making the team, but literally from winning the trials, I was officially an alternate, but I didn't get to go and compete in Beijing. So when I look back at that moment years later, 12 years later, and I've been reflecting on it obviously ever since that moment, I think that was the greatest thing that could have happened to me is not making that team. And it is heartbreaking. I've only just literally last year watched that race for the first time. I couldn't watch it. Could not watch it. But I truly believe that when you look back at those types of moments, because I pursued it, I feel like I've truly lived life.
Yeah.
I feel like it didn't matter that it didn't work out. It actually doesn't bother me as much. I mean, if I really think about it and go there, yeah, I could cry. I could be really heartbroken because I really wanted it to work out. And it meant so much to me from the age of 14 to have that chance to do it. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that it didn't work out. And I'm so glad that I look back at that and think back, wow, my life is so much better because it didn't work out. And I'm having so many different things because I pursued it, irregardless of the fact that it didn't work out. And Steve Jobs' quote, I think, touches on this very beautifully. And you did say this in many ways as well. But this is a quote that a lot of people have heard. He says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, whether it's your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. I think that quote is really important because no matter what you do, as long as you go for it, whatever it is that you want, we always know when we look back that however things worked out was the right thing for it to work out, especially if we continue to pursue the things that we truly want in life. In retrospect, it always makes sense. So we have to trust ourselves enough that whatever we go after, even though we don't know how it's going to work out, it will work out because we know when we look back years later, of course, those things that happened were the right things. And of course, everything that you did go after worked out in the way that it should work out.
You know, David Goggins. I don't know if y'all know David Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good speaker, man. And he said something once that, man, it's powerful. But he talked about at the end of this journey we call life, right? And we pass away and we meet God or whomever at the gates. And God has a notebook with everything on it that we did and we could have done or should have done. And he said that, you know, for some people, God's going to have that notebook and it's going to tell them the things they did and say, oh, I saw you graduated, you did this, you didn't do this, this is this, right? God can say the way he look at it is that he wants to go there and he wants it to go like this. He said that God's going to look at him and say, hey, Goggins, man, you was 300 some pounds. You went down to 185. I saw it. Good job. You graduated from high school. Good job. You made it to the military. Good job. You was a Navy SEAL. Good job. You got married. Good job. You had kids. Good job. You was a good person. You didn't kill nobody. And all of a sudden, and he say, he want God to look at the thing and go, this here, even I didn't see that. So you get what I'm saying? So in other words, God gave us all his talent and gifts, right? And it's like some of we can come, some of we may not. But it's like, this is what we could have, and it's some should have done. But we want to push ourselves and take such risks and try things that's in our heart and in our mind that if we accomplish it, like you said earlier, who would have looked and said in 1998 that KD would have even made an Olympic team, let alone in 2012?
That's right.
Right? I'll give you an example. I like this example. What's your boy name? Guy went like Chris Lukasen.
Oh yeah.
When Chris, I remember this. Chris was running well, and Chris says, "I'm retiring." And we say, "What?" He said, "I'm retiring. It's this little company that just started up in the Bay Area, and I think I'm gonna try to go all in." So let me get it straight. You ain't making that much money. The company nobody heard of is just starting. You're top in the U.S.
Right.
You're gonna quit, retire in your prime at a young age after being at Georgetown to go for this company, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. And it's called life. It's called taking those risks.
But you didn't say
right?
The company actually was Airbnb, right?
Airbnb.
He's one of the first people jumped into it, and he dropped his whole track career, and what a big decision.
I remember I didn't tell him this because I'm a motivating type guy, but I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't believe this dude is going to stop, drop this and do this. But he did it. But that's life. It's like we act as if we have a life on layaway. We act as if there's something after this. And it may be, but I know this is the one we do have. And we got these dreams and goals and stuff that's in our heart. We go to sleep, we think about it. We wake up, we think about it. We talk to our wives about it. We got friends that contact, hey, man, what's going on with that such thing? I remember we were 15, man, you told me you wanted to do all this stuff. And we don't even go for it. And the sad thing is, a mind expanded never goes back to its original form. It's like, we know. See, the difference between us and some other people is that, Go Be More is like, you, us, we know we're supposed to try this stuff. There's some people, they don't get the memo. They've never been around. They never been there, right? They never been around Howard Mebb or Chris McKenna. They never been around these people, but we have. So they almost have an excuse. They've never been around someone that have had a goal for so long and did everything right, did everything right for 4 years and had to go and just failed. And then that same person said, okay, 4 more years just to try to have opportunity. Okay, I'm gonna try that. And didn't make it. Right?
Oh man, yeah.
That's it. But
Yeah.
we do. So we have no freaking reason not to be chasing our goals, no matter if we living in Columbus, Ohio, San Diego, California, or Japan. We should be trying to be more. Period.
Amen. Amen.
Davis, is there anything right now? I mean, where are you at? Let's wrap. We're gonna wrap this up, but we want to know, where are you at? What are you working on? Is there anything you want to talk about? Because we've talked about your past, we talked about your running. You're a coach now. You probably got other things going on. What's your Go Be More journey at this point?
So I'm a coach at Ohio State. I'm the head cross country coach. I'm a track and field coach. It's been going great.
Right.
Obviously, I've written a book. I'm working on book number 2. I just co-founded a nonprofit called the Reading and Running Initiative. It's just started, so it's not really up. But here's what I'm doing. I believe that I was put here to, for lack of a better words, inspire and motivate others. And those might not be the best words for it, but what I mean by that is this. When I went to Zimbabwe, I realized that a lot of people didn't get the memo. What does that mean? There's a lot of things we take for granted that other people wouldn't. So we got to be dripping agents. So what I want to do is I want to go to different organizations, because my message is unleash your inner Olympian. We all have an inner Olympian. It might not be to make an Olympic Games as an athlete. It might be to start your own business. It might be to marry the girl of your dreams. It might be to travel somewhere, whatever that is. We all have these goals, huge goals, that's kind of outside the sphere of what we really think we can do, and we want to chase them. We all have that. So my job is to help you unleash the power to at least try it, because remember, there's power in pursuit. So my job is to help you pursue it. Now, if you accomplish it, great. But if you don't, look how much better you are in the process. So that's what my passion of living is. So I have my website is khadivas.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Obviously, I'm a coach, so I'm not like a lot of people who all they do is speak or train. I'm a coach, but this is what I'm passionate about. I tell people this. I could speak and do the Unleash Your Olympian Within seminars and not coach, but I couldn't coach and not do the nonprofit stuff. I have to do the service. I'm a civil servant. I'm a person that teaches and coaches, or as coaching for life. Mm-hmm. I'm just a track coach. Track coaching is a vehicle for me to teach and inspire others for what their life is. Because it's all energy, right, John? You know, everything's energy.
Yep.
I mean, it just is. There's no way of getting around that. And so if it's all energy, I have a little thing I put on my Instagram that says, I'm just energy supplying energy. Right? That's it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just light supplying light. Now, I got to be careful with that, because I told that to my wife. She was asking me, are you doing these interviews and you're talking to these people and this girl and that? I say, sweetheart, I'm just a light supplying light. I'm just a light offering light. As long as you're getting light, why do you care if I'm giving others light? But I had to realize that might not have been an example. So you get my point. It's just energy. Almost like you're looking at somebody do a drill wrong, and you don't even know them, and you're doing your own workout, you're going for a, they just doing this drill that's wrong, and you're just like, okay, I gotta tell, hey, if you wasn't do it like this, but I heard you it, and then you just like, oh, for Christ's sake, man, go ahead and do it the wrong way if you want to, but you just want to give right advice because you just know better. You're like, man, and then lo and behold, the next 2 weeks later, they walk it, and you go, hey, man, I thought you ain't getting running today. Oh, I hurt my leg doing a drill. Well, what can I tell you?
Yeah. Right. Nah, KD, man, what a pleasure. Please, everybody, check out anything, wherever you can find KD online. Just follow this guy, man. Follow this man. This is a great, great human being. What a beautiful light that you do shine on all of us, KD. Thank you again, brother, for your time. Congratulations on everything that you've done in your life thus far. Keep doing what you're doing. We all need it. We all benefit from it. And love you, man. I appreciate you.
Back to you, John. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And anytime, man, let me know.
Thank you so much.
It, guys.
All right.
All right. Take it easy. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
You too.
All right. Thanks, KD.
Thank you all for tuning in. You can find links to any articles or items we referenced in the show notes. Please subscribe and be sure to give us a rating. And remember to tell a friend about the show. The Go Be More podcast is produced by Go Be More Apparel. Check us out at gobemore.co. For all of us at Go Be More, we are what the world is chasing, and we hope this podcast helps you become what the world is chasing too.